According to Keith Landry, it has taken medical professionals 101 years to fully grasp attention deficit hyperactivity disorder as what it is today. Throughout my speech, I'll inform you of the current diagnosis, treatments, and medications in order to prevent this timeline from happening again due to lack of knowledge. My personal relationship with a close relative with this condition drives me to share this information with you. Through explaining origin of ADHD, history of medicines, and modern-day ADHD, I will share my drive to more learn about this medical condition. Let's look at where and when ADHD began. According to the article History of ADHD, the origin of ADHD began in 1902 when Dr. Still of Britain called this condition defect of moral control. The second documentation was in 1922 when it was called post-encephalitic behavior disorder. Also mentioned in History of ADHD was the turn of beliefs that occurred in the 1960s that added hyperactivity to the list of symptoms. It was then called minimal brain dysfunction. Throughout the years, it earned the name hyperkinetic disorder of childhood. The article History of ADHD lists the original symptoms, which are verbal, cognitive, and motor compulsiveness, lack of focus, and spaciness. Now that we know what ADHD is, we can look into the history of medicines that have treated this disorder. The article History of ADHD shows us the history of medicines such as the stimulants, which calm hyperactive children, introduced in 1937 by Dr. Charles Bradley. Ritalin was the first choice stimulant, introduced in 1956. According to History of ADHD, Adderall was next introduced in 1996, which lasted longer and was easier to come down off of. In 1999, Concerta and Focalin were also added to this list of medications. The article History of ADHD also shows us other drugs that are not stimulants, such as Strattera, which was introduced in 2003, used as an antidepressant, which increases norepinephrine in the brain. The history is only in the past. Now let's talk about ADHD in present times. The article ADHD, the Diagnostic Criteria, shows us all aspects of modern-day ADHD, which include the symptoms, such as inattention, which includes not listening and lack of organization, hyperactivity, which includes fighting, talking, and excessive running, climbing, and inappropriateness, impulsivity, which includes interrupting and blurting out. The article First Biological Test for ADHD Envelop also shows the tests that modern-day scientists use to test for ADHD. They use eye movements, and in this process it is 93% accurate, because earlier detection means better treatment for people with this condition. The article First Biological Test for ADHD Envelop shows us that they use lights, and people with ADHD follow the lights for 3 to 5 seconds with a jerking motion, and people without follow the lights with 30 seconds to 5 minutes in a smooth pursuit. The condition we know today, according to History of ADHD, was first split into two groups, ADD and ADHD, in 1980 by the American Psychiatric Association. In 1987, it was grouped into one, ADHD, which included medical and behavioral imbalances. ADHD is a disorder that can be summed up easily after the 3 points we have covered. Through the years, perception of ADHD has changed dramatically. Through looking at the analysis of origin, history of medications, and modern-day ADHD, no matter how you look at it, it can affect everyone and anyone. We almost all know someone who is affected by this condition, and we can now use our knowledge to better understand loved ones emotionally and physically.